Mina walked through the shiny halls of the Space Academy with her head held high. She was small for her age, and her uniform hung loosely on her frame. But she moved with a quiet confidence that seemed to radiate from inside her. The walls of the academy shimmered with holographic panels displaying planets, stars, and distant galaxies. Alien cadets of all shapes and sizes hurried past her, chattering in languages she did not understand. Some had long tentacles that flickered with color. Others had multiple eyes or armored skin. Everywhere she looked, there was something strange and unfamiliar. Mina had been told she would face many challenges here. After all, Earth was not known to the galaxy as a dominant force. Humans were considered weak by most alien societies. They had survived their own planet's dangers, but those dangers seemed small to many of the aliens she now faced. Yet Mina had learned to survive. Her life on Earth had taught her endurance, resourcefulness, and the ability to think quickly when danger arrived. Those lessons were her strength. As she entered the largest classroom in the academy, she noticed the alien students already seated. Some were speaking quietly to each other, their voices making musical tones or low hums. Others studied holographic tablets with glowing symbols. At the front of the room stood the teacher, a tall alien with blue crystalline skin and long curved horns. Its eyes glowed gold, and its voice filled the room with a deep resonance. "Welcome, cadets," the teacher began. "Today, you will learn why we are the galaxy's strongest. We are the only true Deathworlders. Our planet Zyphor is the most dangerous in this sector. No other species can survive here for long. Remember this. You are not just cadets. You are survivors of the hardest world known to intelligent life." The teacher's words echoed through the room, and many alien students puffed their chests with pride. They nodded to each other as if confirming that they truly were superior. Mina noticed their expressions, some showing arrogance, others amusement. A few glanced at her with curiosity, wondering what a human could possibly bring to the academy. The teacher's glowing eyes swept across the room and paused on Mina. "And you," it said, its voice sharp. "You are from the human planet Earth. You are weak. You may last a few days at most. Remember, cadet, this is not your world. You will learn to survive, or you will be left behind." Mina felt a familiar heat of determination rise within her. She had expected this. She had faced disbelief and underestimation all her life. Yet every time someone doubted her, she discovered a way to prove them wrong. She lifted her hands slowly, keeping her gaze steady on the teacher. "Teacher," Mina said, her voice calm and clear. "Have you ever heard of the name Earth?" A hush fell over the room. Alien cadets paused mid-motion, their heads turning to look at her. Some raised an eyebrow. Others stared in confusion. The teacher's glowing eyes blinked slowly, as if it were surprised by her question. "Earth," the teacher repeated, its tone dismissive. "Yes, I have heard of it. It is a planet with simple life forms. Humans are small, weak creatures who survive by luck and numbers." "Why do you ask human?" Mina took a small step forward. "Because, sir, Earth is a death world too, and humans have survived there for thousands of years. We live in the most dangerous conditions. We face storms, earthquakes, floods, and predators that would destroy most species. If you call Zyphor a death world, you have not faced Earth or its people." A ripple of whispers moved through the room. Some alien cadets exchanged doubtful looks. One of them, a tall alien with silver wings, laughed softly. "She thinks her planet can compare to Zyphor." "That is amusing." Mina did not step back. She looked at the teacher. "I am not boasting. I am telling the truth. Humans survive what other species cannot. You may call Zyphor dangerous, but Earth is a school of survival. Humans learn to adapt, to overcome, and to endure. That is why I am here. To show you what we can do." The teacher's horns twitched slightly, and its glowing eyes narrowed. "Interesting," it said, its voice cold but curious. "Very well, human. You will have your chance to prove it. Today, we begin with the survival trial." The survival trial was a test designed to challenge every cadet's physical and mental abilities. The room shifted, holographic walls sliding open to reveal a large chamber filled with simulated terrain. Rocks, steep slopes, and glowing streams of toxic gas covered the floor. In the distance, holographic predators stalked their prey, moving quickly and unpredictably. Mina took a deep breath. Her training on Earth had taught her how to read the land, to listen to subtle sounds, to sense danger before it struck. She studied the layout of the chamber, noting shadows, slopes, and escape routes. She focused on staying calm, remembering her father's lessons on Earth about patience, observation, and timing. The teacher's voice echoed through the chamber. "Cadets, your goal is simple. Reach the central platform without losing your life. Show me your strength, your intelligence, and your will to survive. Remember, only the truly skilled will succeed." With that, the simulation began. Alien cadets dashed forward, their bodies designed for speed or power. Some leapt over chasms with ease. Others used energy shields or extendable limbs to navigate obstacles. Many moved quickly but carelessly, failing to notice traps and hazards hidden in the terrain. Mina did not rush. She moved carefully, observing each step. When a patch of glowing gas appeared, she rolled behind a rock, waiting for it to disperse. When a holographic predator lunged, she sidestepped and used a small slope to redirect its path. Every move was calculated, every decision deliberate. Her small size and agility worked to her advantage, allowing her to slip through narrow spaces and avoid dangers that larger cadets could not. As she progressed, she saw several alien cadets struggling. Some were frozen by fear, others trapped in simulated quicksand or caught by predators. Mina paused to assess whether she could help without endangering herself. In a few cases, she guided struggling cadets toward safer paths, showing quiet leadership even in this early stage. Some looked at her in surprise, realizing that this human, so small and seemingly fragile, is moving with confidence and skill. The teacher watched silently from above, its eyes following every move. Mina noticed the subtle shift in its demeanor. The glow of its eyes seemed a little brighter, the sharpness in its tone softened slightly. She kept her focus on the trial, not on the alien teacher's reaction. Survival required concentration, not attention to ego. Hours seemed to pass as cadets navigated the chamber. Mina remained steady, calm, and vigilant. She anticipated hazards before they appeared and adapted quickly to new challenges. When a bridge of unstable rock collapsed, she leaped to a safe ledge, using a vine-like plant to swing across a gap. When a sudden storm of wind and sparks threatened to knock her down, she pressed against the rocks and waited for the worst to pass. Finally, she reached the central platform. Her chest heaved with exertion, sweat rolling down her forehead. Around her, only a few alien cadets had made it this far. Some were panting, some were injured in minor ways, and some had frozen in fear before reaching the platform. Mina looked up at the teacher. Its golden eyes glimmered with a mixture of surprise and respect. "Human," it said slowly, "you have survived. Perhaps Earth has taught you more than I believed." Mina nodded, her voice steady, despite her fatigue. "Earth has taught humans to survive when everything seems impossible. That is why I am here. To learn more, yes, but also to show that survival is not about size, strength, or power. It is about courage, intelligence, and endurance." The teacher was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke, softer than before. "Perhaps there is more to your species than I imagined. Let this be noted in your record. You have earned attention, human. Remember, the academy will not be easy, but you have begun well." Mina allowed herself a small smile. She knew the hardest challenges were still ahead. She also knew that this was the moment where the galaxy began to notice that humans were different. Not weak, not fragile, but strong in ways that other species could not yet understand. As she left the chamber, other cadets approached her cautiously. Some offered nods of respect. Others whispered questions about how she survived. Mina answered quietly, showing patience and humility, but inside, she felt a surge of pride. She had proven something important today. Earth was more than a small, weak planet. Earth humans were survivors. The morning sun rose over the academy, casting long shadows across the training grounds. Mina stood at the edge of the launch platform, her eyes scanning the vast landscape beyond. Today was different. The simulation chamber had been only the beginning. Today, the cadets would leave the safety of the academy walls and face a real planet known for its harsh environment. The planet was called Raxil, a barren world with jagged mountains, swirling sandstorms, and sudden bursts of acidic rain. Only the bravest cadets had ever attempted survival exercises here, and many had failed. The alien teacher, Zorith, stood on a hovering platform above the cadets, its golden eyes gleaming in the morning light. "Cadets," Zorith's voice boomed, carrying across the platform. "Raxil is unforgiving. Only those with true skill will survive its challenges. You will navigate the terrain, gather essential resources, and return to the base before nightfall. Any who fail will remain on the planet until rescued. Remember, survival is not given. It is earned." Mina felt her pulse quicken. She had faced dangers on Earth, but Raxel would be unlike anything she had seen. Yet she did not feel fear. She felt focus. She studied the rocky terrain, the moving sand dunes, and the sky that promised sudden storms. Her mind began to plan. The cadets lined up in groups. Many aliens clustered with their friends, whispering strategies and boasting about their strength. Mina stood slightly apart, observing silently. Her small size and agility meant she could move quickly and avoid attention. Patience had always been her advantage. The horned alien teacher gave the signal. A loud hum filled the air, and the transport ships descended to drop the cadets onto the planet. Mina gripped the straps of her survival pack and stepped into the ship with calm determination. Around her, alien cadets fidgeted, their armored limbs clanking against the floor. The ship landed with a jolt. Mina stepped out onto the jagged soil. The wind hit her immediately, strong enough to push her backward if she did not brace herself. She adjusted her stance and began walking carefully, eyes scanning every movement in the sand and rock. Some cadets sprinted forward without care. A pair of winged aliens tried to fly over a canyon but misjudged the wind currents. They were blown off course, landing hard on jagged rocks. Others slipped in the sand, struggling to keep balance. Mina moved slowly and deliberately, using each obstacle as an opportunity to study the planet's patterns. Hours passed, and the first storm arrived. A violent gust of sand and sharp rain swept across the terrain. The aliens struggled against it, some shouting in alarm. Mina pressed herself against a rocky outcrop, pulling her hood tight and covering her face. She could feel the storm's strength, but she also knew how to wait it out. On Earth, storms were common, and humans learned to find shelter quickly, to read the clouds, and to anticipate the direction of the wind. When the storm passed, the cadets were exhausted. Some looked defeated, others angry. Mina's clothes were dusty, and her skin scratched from rocks, but she remained steady. She looked at the map in her hand and began plotting the safest route to the resource point marked by the teacher. She considered not only speed, but also safety and efficiency as she walked. She noticed a small alien cadet struggling near a cliff edge. The cadet had become trapped by falling rocks and could not climb. Mina approached carefully, assessing the situation. She extended a small climbing rope and offered it. The cadet hesitated but took it, climbing with Mina's guidance. The cadet's eyes widened in surprise. You are helping me?" it asked, disbelief in its tone. Mina smiled slightly. "Survival is stronger when you help others. You will learn faster if you pay attention. Watch, adapt, and survive." The cadet nodded silently and they continued together. Meanwhile, other cadets had tried to force their way through the terrain, ignoring hazards. One by one, they ran into trouble. A narrow rock bridge collapsed under a heavy alien, sending it tumbling into a sand pit. Another fell into a shallow but poisonous pool. Mina had to quickly alert nearby cadets to stay clear. By mid-afternoon, first signs of exhaustion appeared across the group. Mina, however, was still alert. She had learned to conserve energy, to drink only when necessary, and to focus on the path ahead rather than panic. She noticed the wind picking up again, forming a second storm. Many aliens froze, unsure of which direction to take. Mina knew she could not outrun it. Instead, she found a hollow in the rocks and led this small group of survivors into it. Shielding them from the worst of the storm, inside the hollow, the cadets watched her closely. Some whispered their amazement. Mina did not speak unnecessarily. Instead, she stayed calm, monitoring the storm through a small crack in the rock. She timed it, knowing when it would weaken and when it was safe to continue. When the storm finally subsided, the cadets emerged. Many were battered, but Mina's group had suffered no serious injuries. She helped them climb over difficult terrain, showing a clear path and pointing out unstable rocks or hidden hazards. Slowly, they moved toward the resource point. Along the way, a rival cadet tried to challenge Mina's leadership. A tall, armored alien named Vero stepped forward, blocking the path. "You are small and weak. Let me lead. You will slow us down," Vero sneered. Mina looked at him calmly. "Lead if you can survive. Follow if you want. The path is dangerous. Strength alone will not save you. Only intelligence and patience will." Vero scoffed and tried to push past her, but the ground beneath him shifted unexpectedly. He nearly fell into a crevice. Mina seized the opportunity, guiding him safely back onto solid ground. He glared at her, realizing that brute force alone could not navigate Raxel's dangers. Finally, with hours of careful navigation, they reached the resource point. It was a small clearing with clean water and edible plants. Mina checked the cadets' condition and distributed the supplies efficiently. Every movement was precise, measured, and purposeful. She made sure no one was left behind. Every cadet received the attention they needed. The alien teacher's voice echoed over the communicator. "Cadets, the first challenge is complete. Those who survive Raxel's conditions will earn recognition. Observe the results carefully." Mina stood quietly, looking at the other cadets. Many were exhausted and frustrated. Some looked at her with new respect. Even Vero's expression had changed, though he refused to speak. Mina felt no triumph. This was only one trial. The planet still held many challenges, and the final test of survival was yet to come. As night fell, the cadets set up temporary shelters. Mina took a small space to herself, but remained aware of the environment. On Earth, she had learned that survival meant never letting your guard down, even when you thought danger had passed. She listened to the wind, the distant rumble of shifting rocks, the faint sounds of nocturnal predators. Sleep came lightly and briefly. Mina's mind remained alert, planning for the challenges of the next day. She knew that Raxiel was testing not just physical strength, but mental endurance. Many aliens relied only on power, ignoring the importance of observation, adaptability, and careful planning. Mina had all of these qualities, and she intended to use them to survive. By dawn, the cadets gathered for the next phase. Mina looked around and noticed who had adapted and who had failed. The ones who survived the first day were tired, but still moving. The ones who relied only on brute strength were slower, injured, or demoralized. Mina realized that Earth had given her an advantage that these aliens did not understand. Humans survived not because they were strongest, but because they learned, observed, and adapted. The teacher watched from above, its golden eyes following every cadet's progress. For the first time, Mina thought she saw curiosity and perhaps even a hint of respect. The voice over the communicator was calm but firm. "Today, cadets have learned much about themselves. Tomorrow, you will face the ultimate trial. Only those who can combine intelligence, courage, and endurance will complete the challenge. Prepare yourselves." Mina adjusted her pack, checking the supplies and reviewing the terrain map. She knew that the next trial would be even harder. She thought of Earth, of her family, and of the countless humans who had survived impossible conditions on their home planet. That thought gave her strength. She smiled to herself quietly. Earth had trained her well. Raxel was dangerous, but she was ready. Humans were survivors, and Mina would prove it to the galaxy. The morning sun rose over Raxel, painting the jagged mountains with sharp orange light. Mina had spent the night carefully observing her surroundings. She had learned where the predators might hide, which rocks were unstable, and how the wind shifted across the valleys. Her small tent, made from durable material supplied by the academy. It kept her warm and dry, and her supplies were carefully rationed. Every decision she had made yesterday was deliberate, and it had saved her life. The alien teacher, Zoroth, appeared above the cadets in a hovering observation platform. Its golden eyes glinted in the light. "Cadets," said, voice calm but commanding. "Today you face the ultimate survival test. The terrain will be more dangerous, the weather more unpredictable, and the predators more cunning. Only those who combine intelligence, courage, and endurance will succeed. Remember, the galaxy watches your performance." Mina nodded quietly. She did not need encouragement. She had faced storms, treacherous cliffs, and hostile terrain yesterday. She had learned to remain calm, to observe carefully, and to act when the moment was right. Today would be harder, but she was ready. The cadets were released into the wild. Some rushed forward without caution. Mina waited, watching their movements. Her eyes caught a shadow moving quickly over the rocks. A predator, small but agile, had spotted an alien cadet who was running too fast and too carelessly. Mina's heart tightened. She could not intervene directly without slowing herself, but she noted the predator's path, ready to anticipate danger for herself and anyone who might follow safely. As she moved, Mina considered her strategy. She would not rely on speed or strength alone. She would use observation, timing, and adaptability. Her path took her along a ridge that offered a clear view of the valley below. From there, she could see shifting sandstorms forming in the distance and rocks that were likely to fall with sudden vibrations. Mina adjusted her pace, moving carefully along stable rock surfaces while keeping her eyes and ears alert. Suddenly, a cry rang out. One of the alien cadets had slipped on loose gravel and tumbled down a slope. Mina sprinted carefully, using her balance to navigate quickly and safely. She reached the cadet just as the predator appeared. Using a sharp rock, she struck the ground near the predator to scare it away. The creature paused, then retreated into the shadows. The cadet looked at her with wide eyes. How did you do that?" it asked, breathing heavily. Mina helped the cadet to stand. "Watch, listen, and move carefully," she said. "Rushing only puts you in danger. Observe and adapt. That is how you survive." The cadet nodded, clearly impressed. Mina knew that leadership was not only about doing the hard work herself, but also about teaching others to survive. Humans had learned that on Earth. Survival depended on cooperation, strategy, and awareness, not just strength. The terrain grew more difficult as she moved forward. A canyon stretched before her, its edges unstable. The wind howled through the gap, carrying sharp particles that cut at exposed skin. Some alien cadets tried to leap across the canyon, but failed. One fell into the rocky depths below, a cry echoing into the void. Mina studied the structure of the rocks, testing their stability with small movements of her foot. She noticed a narrow ledge that ran along the canyon wall. Carefully, she guided the small group of cadets who had followed her along this ledge. Each step required focus and precision. When they reached the other side, a sudden storm approached. Mina recognized the signs immediately. Dust and debris swirled across the valley, and distant lightning illuminated the jagged peaks. Many cadets froze in fear. Mina did not panic. She remembered Earth's storms and the strategies her family had taught her. Using the rocks as shelter, she led the group into a protected alcove. She secured herself and the cadets with ropes to prevent slipping and prepared for the storm. Hours passed, and the storm intensified. Rain fell in sheets and small rocks slid dangerously from higher cliffs. Mina kept her mind calm, assessing each movement carefully. She reminded herself that the storm was temporary and that patience and observation were key. When the storm subsided, the terrain had shifted. Paths that were stable earlier were now blocked by rocks or eroded by water. Many cadets were lost, wandering in confusion, but Mina had already plotted a new route. As they moved forward, the group encountered a series of small predators, agile and fast. They seemed to hunt in packs and use stealth to corner their prey. Mina noticed the patterns in their movement and realized that she could use the terrain to her advantage. She led the cadets through narrow crevices where the predators could. not follow, and when one tried to ambush them, she used a combination of rocks and clever positioning to block its attack. The cadets watched in awe as she acted with confidence and skill. One cadet whispered to another, "She moves like she has done this all her life." Mina smiled slightly but said nothing. She focused on the task at hand. There was no time for pride. Survival required constant vigilance. Later, they reached a plateau with scarce resources. Food and water were limited. Many alien cadets panicked, arguing over supplies and showing signs of exhaustion. Mina calmly distributed water, checking each cadet's condition. She taught them how to ration supplies, how to find edible plants, and how to identify safe drinking sources. Her knowledge of Earth's survival techniques proved invaluable. The day grew hotter, and the sun blazed down relentlessly. Aliens with thick armor or heavy bodies began to falter. Mina, used to enduring harsh conditions, adjusted her pace to conserve energy and avoid overheating. She guided the cadets to shaded areas and reminded them to hydrate in small sips. Slowly, the group continued, each step a careful calculation. As evening approached, the final challenge of the test appeared. A wide river blocked the path to the final extraction point. Its current was strong, and the rocks along the bank were slippery. Many cadets hesitated. Mina observed the river carefully. Noting the safest crossing point and the direction of the current, she stripped down to her basic gear, allowing for more flexibility, and crossed first. Testing each rock carefully before stepping. Once she reached the other side, she extended her hand to the alien cadets, helping them across one by one. Some fell into the water but were guided to safety. One cadet tried to rush and was swept slightly downstream. Dived in, grabbing the cadet's arm and pulling it to shore. Exhaustion and relief were written on their faces. Finally, all survivors reached the extraction point. Mina looked around at the exhausted cadets. Many were battered, bruised, and in shock, but all were alive. Hey! The alien teacher's voice rang through the communicator. Cadets, the ultimate survival test is complete. Observe the results carefully. Those who survive demonstrate not only strength, but intelligence, courage, and endurance. Zoroff's eyes glowed as it surveyed the group. Mina noticed a faint change in its expression. Respect, something she had not seen before, flickered across its features. It was subtle, but it was there. Mina's quiet determination, her careful planning, and her leadership had stood out. She had survived Raxel, while many stronger aliens had faltered. Mina's small group gathered together, tending to minor injuries and sharing water. Vero, the rival cadet, approached her cautiously. You survived where many of us failed. How? He asked, struggling to hide his admiration. Mina looked at him calmly. I observed, adapted, and stayed aware. Survival is not about strength alone. It is about understanding the world, using your mind, and being prepared for anything. Vero nodded slowly, silence following his words. He had learned a lesson the hard way. Power without intelligence was useless on Raxil. As night fell, Mina set up a small camp with the surviving cadets. She shared what she had learned from Earth, explaining how humans had survived deserts, storms, and other deadly conditions by thinking carefully and working together. The cadets listened intently, some skeptical, some impressed. For the first time, they seemed to see a human not as weak, but as resilient and clever. Mina lay on a small mat, staring at the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and unknown worlds. Yet she felt a quiet pride. She had faced the ultimate survival test, and proven that Earth humans were capable of enduring what many alien species could not. The galaxy would soon understand that survival was not just about size or strength. It was about courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, but Mina felt ready. Earth had prepared her, and she would continue to show the galaxy the strength of her people. Humans were survivors, and Mina was determined to ensure that everyone knew it. The morning on Raxil began with a cold wind that swept across the rocky plains. Mina had slept lightly, alert to the subtle movements of the world around her. She had learned that survival required constant awareness, even in the quiet hours. The alien cadets were still gathering themselves, nursing bruises and minor injuries from the previous day's ultimate survival test. Many of them whispered to each other, still shocked at how easily some had faltered, while Mina had guided her group safely through each hazard. The alien teacher, Zorth, appeared above the plateau in its hovering platform. Its golden eyes scanned the cadets with a sharp, calculating look. "Cadets," it said, its voice firm. "Those who survived Raxel's challenges have proven their physical strength. But strength alone is not enough. Today you will face tasks that test strategy, teamwork, and intelligence. Only those who combine all these skills will advance in the academy. Prepare yourselves." Mina adjusted her pack, checking supplies and ensuring her companions were ready. Her small group of survivors looked at her with a mixture of trust and respect. Unlike the previous day, when she had moved quietly and independently, today would require coordination. Mina had learned that humans survived by observing, thinking, and helping others. She would apply all of those lessons. The cadets were assigned teams for the day's exercises. Mina's group was joined by a few other survivors who had learned to rely on her guidance. Even Vero, her rival, remained silent, but stayed close, observing her movements. The challenge was clear: navigate a hazardous canyon system, gather rare energy crystals, and return to the extraction point before nightfall. The canyon was treacherous. Jagged cliffs, narrow ledges, and sudden drops created constant danger. Wind currents shifted unpredictably, carrying abrasive dust and threatening to knock the unwary off balance. Mina took the lead, carefully assessing each path. She used simple, earth-inspired strategies, testing rocks for stability, observing predator patterns, and using natural cover for safety. One of the alien cadets, a small creature with long limbs and sharp claws, began to panic when a rock slide blocked their path. Mina knelt beside it, pointing to a narrow ledge above. "Stay calm," she said. "Follow me carefully, one step at a time. Observe the ground, listen to the wind, and trust your movements." The cadet hesitated, then nodded. Mina guided it step by step along the ledge, demonstrating patience and careful observation. Other cadets watched, some with skepticism, others with a growing sense of admiration. As they progressed deeper into the canyon, a new challenge appeared. Predators emerged from hidden crevices, moving with incredible speed and coordination. Mina assessed their behavior, noticing patterns in their hunting techniques. Using small diversions, she led the group along a safe path, keeping the predators at bay without direct confrontation. The alien cadets were amazed. They had relied on raw strength and armor in previous tests, but here those traits were insufficient. Mina's intelligence and adaptability proved superior. When they reached a narrow canyon bridge over a deep chasm, Mina paused. The bridge was unstable, and the wind was strong. Some cadets hesitated, unsure how to cross. Mina studied the structure carefully, testing it with her foot. "One at a time," she instructed. "Balance carefully. Focus. Move slowly. Strength alone will not help you here." Cadets followed her instructions, crossing safely. A few slips occurred, but Mina's quick thinking saved them from serious injury. By the time the last cadet crossed, even Vero appeared impressed. Though he refused to speak, the next phase required gathering rare energy crystals embedded in the canyon walls. The crystals emitted a faint glow, but the walls were steep and unstable. Many cadets tried to rip crystals forcefully, causing rockfalls or triggering minor avalanches. Mina approached carefully, using leverage and simple tools to extract the crystals without disturbing the environment. She explained to the cadets around her how careful observation and patience allowed them to accomplish the task efficiently. The other cadets began to mimic her methods, slowly learning that brute force was not always the best solution. Mina's quiet leadership was having an impact. She smiled faintly, realizing that Earth's lessons in problem-solving and adaptation were spreading to alien minds. As they moved toward the final extraction point, the canyon narrowed, forming a labyrinth of sharp turns and dead ends. Some cadets became disoriented, panicking as they tried to find the path. Mina stopped and surveyed the terrain. Using natural markers, shadows, and wind direction, she guided the group through the maze. Each step required careful attention. as one mistake could lead to a fall or a dead end. Suddenly, a small predator appeared, blocking the path. It hissed and lunged toward the cadets. Mina quickly analyzed its movements and noticed its weakness. It was sensitive to vibrations. Using a small rock, she created a distraction, causing the predator to retreat temporarily. Then, she led the cadets past it, carefully avoiding a direct confrontation that could have ended badly. By mid-afternoon, they reached the plateau leading to the extraction point. Some cadets were exhausted, their movements slower and less precise. Mina checked supplies, ensuring everyone had enough water and energy. She encouraged them to rest briefly, teaching them to conserve strength for the final push. The alien teacher's voice echoed over the communicator. Observe carefully, cadets. Leadership, intelligence, and endurance are being tested. Only those who combine these qualities will succeed. Mina gathered her group and began the final descent toward the extraction point. The slope was steep, with loose gravel that threatened to slide underfoot. Many cadets slipped and stumbled, but Mina maintained a steady pace, offering guidance and assistance. She reminded them to place their feet carefully, to lean into the slope, and to watch the movements of those ahead. When they reached the final barrier, a wide chasm separated them from the extraction platform. The only crossing was a thin, natural bridge of rock, swaying under the wind. Some cadets froze in fear. Mina stepped forward, testing the bridge with careful steps. Stay calm, she instructed. One step at a time. Watch the bridge, trust your balance, and move slowly. I will guide you. One by one, the cadets followed her lead. A few slips occurred, but Mina's quick reactions and careful instructions prevented serious falls. By the time the last cadet crossed, even Vero allowed a small nod of approval, silently acknowledging her skill and leadership. Finally, the group reached the extraction platform. The hovering ship waited, its engines humming softly. The cadets boarded, exhausted, but alive. Mina took a moment to look at the landscape below. The canyon stretched endlessly, filled with hazards, predators, and challenges. Only those who could think, adapt, and endure would survive here. She felt a quiet pride. The alien teacher appeared on the platform above. Its eyes glowed brightly, scanning the cadets. Cadet Mina, it said, voice firm, but with a hint of respect. You have demonstrated skill, intelligence, and leadership beyond expectations. Your methods and decisions have saved lives. It seems the human species may have more strength than I first believed. Mina nodded calmly. Thank you, teacher. I only followed what Earth taught me. Observing, thinking, and adapting are key to survival anywhere. Zorith was silent for a long moment, then its eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Perhaps it is time to consider humans differently. Strength is not only in the body, but also in the mind and the will to endure. You have shown both. As the ship carried them back to the academy, Mina noticed the other cadets looking at her in a new light. Some whispered among themselves, others silently acknowledged her skill. The day had been grueling, but Mina had proven more than just survival. She had shown leadership, strategy, and courage under pressure. That evening, back at the academy, the surviving cadets gathered in the training hall. Zoroth addressed them, its voice carrying through the room. Today, the survivors have demonstrated that survival requires more than strength. Adaptability, intelligence, and teamwork are equally important. Observe the example set by Cadet Mina. Her actions reflect the resilience of her species. Mina stood quietly, letting the praise wash over her. She had not sought recognition, only survival and the opportunity to show what humans were capable of. The alien cadets began to approach her, asking questions about her methods and strategies. She shared what she could, explaining how careful observation, patience, and cooperation had guided her decisions. Vero approached last, still reluctant but clearly changed. I did not understand before, he admitted. Strength alone is not enough. Your methods, they work. Mina smiled gently. It is not about proving anyone wrong. It is about surviving and helping others survive. That is what Earth taught me. That is what I am sharing with you. The room was silent for a moment, then filled with quiet murmurs of respect. The alien cadets had begun to see a human not as weak, but as intelligent, adaptable, and capable. Mina felt a sense of quiet satisfaction. She knew that the academy had been difficult, but she had opened the eyes of many to the potential of her species. As night fell, Mina prepared for rest. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but she felt ready. Earth had trained her well. Raxiel had tested her skill and resolve. And the galaxy was beginning to understand that humans were not fragile. They were survivors, clever. The sun rose slowly over the academy, casting long shadows across the training grounds. Mina adjusted her pack and checked her supplies. Today was the final test. It was not just another survival exercise. It was a multi-planet mission designed to push cadets to their limits. The alien teacher, Zuroth, had made it clear only those who combined intelligence, endurance, and courage would succeed. Mina's heart was steady, but she could feel the weight of expectation from the academy and her fellow cadets. Cadets. Zorath's voice boomed from the hovering platform above. Today, you will face the most challenging scenario we have ever designed. You will travel to 3 separate planets with varying hazards. Extreme weather, dangerous terrain, and unpredictable predators will test your abilities. Only those who adapt quickly and act with intelligence will complete the mission successfully. Mina took a deep breath. Earth had taught her resilience. She had faced hurricanes, floods, and dangerous landscapes. Her experience had shaped her into someone who could observe carefully, plan deliberately, and act decisively. She was ready. The cadets were divided into teams. Mina's group consisted of the survivors from the previous trials, along with a few new cadets who had been hesitant but chosen her for guidance. Vero remained close, silent but attentive. Mina did not speak unnecessarily. Leadership required calm and focus. She intended to lead by example. The first planet was Korath, a desert world with scorching heat and shifting sand dunes. The sun was relentless, and the terrain was treacherous. Many alien cadets struggled immediately. Thick armor and heavy limbs became a disadvantage as the sand shifted beneath them. Mina moved with agility, conserving energy and finding paths that offered shade and stability. She guided her group carefully, pointing out soft sand traps and hidden ridges that could support their weight. A sudden sandstorm appeared on the horizon, moving faster than anyone expected. Some cadets panicked, running blindly across the dunes. Mina reminded them to stay together and move carefully. Using a combination of hand signals and soft commands, she led the group to a rocky outcrop that offered shelter. The storm passed, and the cadets were safe. Mina smiled faintly, thinking of Earth's deserts and the techniques humans had developed to endure such conditions. Observation and patience had saved them. The next planet was Trellis, a frozen world with jagged ice cliffs and blizzards that could appear without warning. The cold was intense, and the wind cut through clothing like knives. Mina's small size allowed her to move quickly, and her knowledge of layering and warmth kept her energy steady. She taught the alien cadets how to conserve heat, move efficiently, and read the patterns of ice cracks and snowdrifts. Many alien cadets struggled to adapt, some slipping on the ice or exhausting themselves by trying to rush through the blizzard. Mina's guidance helped her group reach a safe point with minimal difficulty. During their trek across Trellis, a predator emerged from a crevasse, large and swift. It lunged toward a cadet who had strayed from the group. Mina acted quickly, grabbing a heavy icicle and creating a barrier between the predator and the cadet. The creature hesitated, allowing the cadet to retreat to safety. Mina's calm, calculated actions impressed the other cadets. They began to see that strength alone could not overcome danger. Strategy and quick thinking were equally vital. The final planet was Vorin, a jungle world teeming with thick vegetation, enormous roots, and strange predators that used camouflage to hide. Visibility was low, and paths were unclear. Mina carefully studied the environment, noticing subtle movements and listening for sounds that indicated danger. She led the group through the jungle, using small tools to mark paths and creating safe zones where cadets could rest without risk. Predators in Vorin were clever and relentless. They used stealth and coordination to trap prey. Mina observed their patterns, guiding her group around ambush points and using distractions to keep the predators occupied. She instructed cadets to move quietly, watch the terrain, and trust each other. The alien cadets began to follow her instructions carefully. Realizing that their own instincts were insufficient without strategy and observation, midway through the jungle, Vero slipped into a muddy trap and was nearly caught by a predator. Mina dove, grabbing his arm and pulling him to safety. Vero looked at her with a mix of gratitude and respect. "I underestimated humans," he admitted quietly. Mina smiled faintly. "It is not about underestimating or overestimating. It is about observing, adapting, and working together. That is how survival works everywhere." As they navigated deeper into the jungle, they reached a cliff overlooking a fast-flowing river. The only way forward was to construct a temporary bridge using vines, rocks, and fallen branches. Some alien cadets attempted to force their way across without planning, and failed. Mina observed the materials carefully, designing a safe path and instructing the cadets on how to proceed. Step by step, everyone crossed safely. Finally, they reached the extraction point. The hovering ship waited above, its engines humming steadily. Mina's group was exhausted, but alive. They had traversed extreme heat, frozen terrain, and dense jungle. Every cadet had been tested physically, mentally, and emotionally. Mina had guided them through every challenge, showing patience, intelligence, and courage. Zoreth appeared above, its golden eyes glowing brighter than ever. "Cadets," it said, voice calm but carrying weight, "this mission has proven more than physical endurance. Those who survive require intelligence, adaptability, and leadership. Cadet Mina, your actions demonstrate all these qualities. You have guided your team through the most dangerous conditions in the galaxy. You have proven that humans are capable of surviving where many others fail." Mina nodded quietly, exhausted but proud. "Thank you, teacher. Earth has taught humans how to survive, adapt, and lead. I only followed what my planet has taught me. I am grateful to share it with others." The other cadets looked at her in awe. Some whispered among themselves, acknowledging that they had learned more from her than from any other instructor. Vero stepped forward. His expression changed from arrogance to respect. "I see now," he said softly. "Strength alone does not guarantee survival. Your guidance and thinking saved us all." Mina smiled gently. "Survival is not about proving yourself to others. It is about understanding your environment, working with others, and acting wisely. That is what Earth has taught me. That is what I'm sharing with you." The teacher's eyes glowed for a long moment. "Perhaps it is time to recognize the true strength of humans," Zoreth said. "Not only do they endure harsh conditions, but they also demonstrate intelligence, courage, and leadership. Cadet Mina has proven that Earth is a world of survivors." Back at the academy, the cadets were celebrated for completing the mission. Mina received quiet recognition from Zoreth, who rarely gave praise. The other cadets approached her, eager to learn from her experience. She shared simple strategies for survival, emphasizing observation, patience, and teamwork. The academy had been a challenge beyond anything Mina had faced before, but she had succeeded. Humans were no longer underestimated. The alien cadets had seen that survival required more than strength. It required intelligence, courage, and the ability to adapt. Mina had proven that Earth was not just a simple planet. It was a world of Deathworlders, capable of thriving in the harshest environments. That night, Mina stood on a balcony overlooking the academy. The stars stretched endlessly across the sky. She thought of Earth, of the lessons it had taught her, and of the countless humans who had survived impossible conditions. She thought of the alien teacher who had begun to recognize the value of her people, and of the cadets who now looked at humans with respect. Mina felt a quiet pride. She had faced extreme challenges, led others through danger, and shown that humans were clever, resilient, and capable. The galaxy had begun to understand the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were survivors. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new missions, and new challenges, but Mina was ready. Earth had prepared her for anything. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, and filled with unknown worlds. Yet she felt confident. Humans could endure, adapt, and lead. And in that moment, Mina understood that she had not only proven her own strength, but had also shown the universe the true power of her species.